History remembers heroes. It remembers inventors, explorers, thinkers, and dreamers. But sometimes history remembers monsters. Not because they deserve to be remembered, but because forgetting them would be dangerous. In the early 20th century, the world stood on the edge of unimaginable change, new technologies, new nations, new ideas. But beneath the excitement, tensions brewed. Hunger, humiliation, anger, and fear. And out of those cracks rose a man whose destiny would plunge continents into fire. This is not just the story of Adolf Hitler. It is the story of how hatred becomes power, how a broken society can be manipulated, and how one man's darkness can consume millions. Chapter 1. A Boy with Two Faces. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in a small border town called Braunau am Inn, a quiet place where nothing hinted that a future dictator was being raised. His father, Alois, was stern, strict, and quick to anger. Alois demanded obedience, not respect. He believed discipline was everything. And young Adolf, sensitive and imaginative, suffered under this weight. His mother, Clara, was the opposite. Gentle, caring, deeply affectionate. To Adolf, she was warmth. She was safety. He adored her. These two forces, harsh authority and unconditional love, created a contradiction inside him. As a child, Hitler loved sketching. He would draw buildings, landscapes, imaginary cities. Teachers noticed his talent. But Alois dismissed it as foolishness. He wanted his son to become a civil servant, stable, predictable, unambitious. Adolf resisted. The more his father pushed, the harder he pushed back. When Alois died in 1903, Adolf felt both grief and freedom. And when his beloved mother died a few years later, he felt a kind of emotional collapse, a hollowing out, a loneliness he would carry for life. With no family, no direction, and a burning desire to prove himself, Adolf Hitler left for Vienna, convinced the world would finally recognize his genius. Instead, Vienna confronted him with failure. Chapter 2. Vienna, the city that broke him. Vienna was magnificent. Grand buildings, opera houses, universities, people from every culture. But to Hitler, it became a cold battlefield. He applied to the Academy of Fine Arts in 1907. He was rejected. His drawings lacked human figures, lacked emotion. The judges called his work unsuitable. He tried again the next year. Rejected again. The humiliation stung deeply. Hitler didn't see the rejection as a lesson. He saw it as an insult. He drifted into poverty, lived in shabby hostels, sold small paintings for food, walked the streets aimlessly, angry at the world for not recognizing his brilliance. And during those years, he started feeding on hatred. Vienna at the time was a place of rising extremist ideologies. Anti-Semitic newspapers were sold openly. Politicians made speeches blaming minorities for unemployment and crime. Pseudoscientific theories claimed one race was superior to another. Hitler, emotionally vulnerable and searching for someone to blame for his own failures, absorbed these ideas like poison. He listened to demagogues. He read propaganda. He began believing the lie that society was controlled and corrupted by enemies. And as his self-pity grew, so did his resentment. Vienna was the city that did not accept him, and so he began to reject Vienna, its diversity, its tolerance, its ideas. The young man who once dreamed of being an artist slowly transformed into a man obsessed with blame. He left Vienna in 1913, bitter and directionless. The world was about to be consumed by war, and so was he. Chapter 3. The Soldier Who Found Purpose in War. In 1914, Europe exploded. World War I began.
Millions enlisted.
And Adolf Hitler saw a chance to start over. He volunteered for the German army. And for the first time in a long time, he felt purpose. The trenches of World War I were hell. Rats crawling over bodies, constant rain, endless mud, explosions shaking the earth, soldiers choking from gas attacks, days and nights blending together. But Hitler embraced the discipline, the structure, the camaraderie. He wasn't an exceptional soldier, but he was dedicated. He followed orders. He didn't drink, didn't smoke, rarely joked. He saw war as a test of character. In 1916, he was wounded. He returned to fight again. He received medals for courage. And like many soldiers, he started believing that the battlefield was sacred, a place where real men proved themselves. But when Germany lost the war in 1918, Hitler was devastated. He refused to believe the army had been defeated fairly. He listened to conspiracy theories claiming that traitors, politicians, communists, and Jews had sabotaged Germany from within. This lie, this poisonous myth, became Hitler's new obsession. The defeat of Germany became the defining trauma of his life. He vowed that one day, Germany would rise again, and he would be part of that rise. Chapter 4. The Birth of a Demagogue. After the war, Germany was in chaos. The monarchy had collapsed. The economy was near death. Street fights between political groups were common. Hitler, still technically in the army, was assigned to monitor political meetings. One of those meetings changed everything. In a small, smoky beer hall, he heard a group of angry men complaining about the state of the nation. The group was called the German Workers' Party, tiny, unorganized, and irrelevant. But Hitler saw potential. He stood up and spoke. Words poured out of him, sharp, passionate, fiery. Everyone in the room stared. This was the moment he discovered his true talent. Not painting, not soldiering, but speaking. He joined the group. Then he transformed it. Renamed it the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazi Party. His speeches electrified crowds. He could shout, whisper, rage, command. People felt hypnotized. He made them feel angry, feel proud, feel afraid, feel hopeful, all at once. His message was simple. Germany didn't lose the war, it was betrayed. Enemies were hiding among them. Only a strong leader could restore greatness. He offered certainty in a time of confusion, order in a time of chaos, blame in a time of suffering. The Nazi Party grew, and with it, the myth of Adolf Hitler. Chapter 5. The Failed Revolution and the Making of a Myth. By 1923, Hitler believed his movement was unstoppable. He planned to overthrow the Bavarian government, just like Mussolini had done in Italy. But the plan failed. Police opened fire. People died. Hitler was arrested. Yet prison became his turning point. During his trial, he acted not like a criminal, but like a patriot. He gave long speeches declaring his love for Germany. Newspapers printed his words. The entire nation suddenly knew his name. In prison, he wrote Mein Kampf, My Struggle, a book filled with racist ideology, dreams of a new empire, and hatred disguised as patriotism. Prison didn't break him. It refined him. It gave him time to plan. When he was released, he was no longer just a political agitator. He was a rising star. Chapter 6. The Depression and the Rise to Power. Then came 1929, the Great Depression. Banks collapsed. Factories closed. Millions lost their jobs. Germany was hit the hardest. Fear spread like wildfire. Hitler seized the opportunity. He promised jobs. He promised unity. He promised revenge against the Treaty of Versailles. He promised a new Germany. And people desperate, hungry, scared listened. The Nazi Party went from irrelevant to the largest political force in the country. In 1933, President Hindenburg, pressured by conservative politicians who thought they could control Hitler, appointed him chancellor. They were wrong. Within months, democracy was destroyed. The Reichstag building mysteriously burned. Hitler blamed communists and demanded emergency powers. Opposition parties were banned. Trade unions were dissolved. Critics were arrested. Books were burned. Children were taught loyalty to Hitler above all else. Germany had become a dictatorship. Hitler had become the Führer. Chapter 7. A nation transformed by fear. Under Hitler, Germany changed rapidly. Propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels controlled the media. Radio broadcasts, films, posters, textbooks all praised Hitler. He became a mythic figure. The Gestapo, the secret police, monitored every whisper. Fear kept people obedient. The Hitler Youth shaped children into soldiers. Girls were taught motherhood as duty. Boys were trained for war. The Nuremberg laws of 1935 stripped Jews of rights. Step by step, their humanity was erased. Businesses refused them. Schools expelled them. Neighbors avoided them. In 1938, during Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, Jewish businesses were smashed, synagogues burned, thousands arrested. This was not chaos. It was policy. Germany had become a machine of hatred and control, and Hitler's ambitions were growing. Chapter 8. The Road to War. Hitler rebuilt the military. He annexed Austria. He took the Sudetenland. He promised peace each time, but behind every promise was preparation for war. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. World War II began. The German war machine, tanks, aircraft, fast infantry swept through Europe. Poland fell. France fell. Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, all crushed. Hitler stood at the height of power. He believed he was invincible. He believed destiny was on his side. But destiny was about to turn. Chapter 9. Hitler's greatest mistake. In 1941, Hitler made the most catastrophic decision of his life. He invaded the Soviet Union. He underestimated the vastness of Russia. He underestimated the winter. He underestimated the Soviet people. His armies advanced fast. But then winter came. Temperatures dropped to -30 degrees Celsius. Engines froze. Soldiers starved. Germany's unstoppable machine was now bleeding. Meanwhile, the United States entered the war. Hitler had made enemies of nearly the entire world. The empire he dreamed of was crumbling. Chapter 10. The Holocaust. Humanity's darkest hour. As the war raged, Hitler's regime carried out the Holocaust. The systematic murder of millions of Jews, Roma, disabled people, political opponents, and many others. Ghettos, mass shootings, forced labor,
Concentration camp.
gas chambers. It wasn't madness. It wasn't chaos. It was organized, documented, industrialized. Millions died, families erased, cultures shattered. It remains one of the greatest crimes in human history, and Hitler never showed remorse. He believed genocide was necessary for his vision of the world. This is the true face of his ideology. Death, destruction, dehumanization. Chapter 11. The Fall of a Dictator. By 1944, Allied forces were closing in. Germany was losing on all fronts. Hitler retreated into an underground bunker beneath Berlin. Bombs shook the city above while he issued impossible orders. He trusted no one. He fired generals. He accused loyal officers of betrayal. He ranted about destiny, fate, and loyalty. But the world no longer listened. On April 30, 1945, as Soviet troops reached Berlin, Hitler took his own life. The man who once commanded millions died hidden underground, surrounded by lies, maps, and ashes. A week later, Germany surrendered. The war was over. Chapter 12. Aftermath. What remains of darkness? The world was left with ruins. Cities flattened, millions dead, families torn apart, nations traumatized. The Nuremberg trials exposed the full horror of Nazi crimes. Survivors told their stories. The world vowed, never again. But Hitler's shadow remains not because he was powerful, but because he revealed how fragile society can become when fear overpowers reason, when hatred becomes normal, when lies replace truth, and when people surrender their freedom for the promise of greatness. Why this story must be told? This story is not about one man. It is about all of us. Because the same emotions that shaped Hitler, fear, anger, humiliation, hatred, still exist in every society, in every age. If you like this video, please like and subscribe this channel. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.